We have been following the Alabama ruling that frozen embryos to be used for IVF, in vitro fertilization, are to be considered children under the law. And we have video now of NBC reporter Dasha Burns interviewing vile, truly vile Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville about the issue, asking him about his reaction to the court ruling. He's all about pro-family and more kids. Dasha Burns explains to him, IVF leads to more kids. There are lots of people who can't have kids unless there's IVF. And so when IVF is restricted, it's fewer kids. Tuberville short circuits. His brain seems to turn to mayonnaise right before our very eyes and says something about abortion. And Dasha Burns is like, dude, what are you talking about? Look at this.
Dasha Burns with NBC News. I wanted to ask, do you have a reaction to the Alabama Supreme Court ruling on the fact that embryos are children?
Yeah, I was all for it.
I was all for it. All right, well, why? That's interesting. Does he have an idea what he's talking about? No.
You know, you just got to look at everything going on in the country. It's just attack on families, attack on kids. You know, anything that we can do for the future of our young people, because they're our number one commodity.
Now, but before we go further, this is just inserting a talking point. There's been attacks on families and there's been attacks on kids. So I love this out of Alabama. How does that even relate to what you're talking about? Saying that frozen embryos are children pushes back against the attack on families? What? And Dasha Burns, she does a good job here.
We need to have more kids. We need to have an opportunity to do that. And I thought this was the right thing to do. But
IVF is used to have more children, and right now IVF services are paused at some of the clinics in Alabama. Aren't you concerned that this could impact people who are trying to have kids?
Well, that's for another conversation.
It's really not. And this is where he should say, you know, Dasha, I'm realizing I didn't want to look like a fool, so I started answering your question with pre-scripted talking points that I barely understand. I'm now realizing I have no clue what on earth I'm talking about. I'm going to go and research this, and then I'll revise my opinion if necessary in writing, because this is just crazy. It's not another conversation. As a result of the ruling that frozen embryos are children, IVF clinics are now scared that in their normal course of what they do, which sometimes includes the destruction of frozen embryos that are either not going to be used or are determined not to be of the quality. Embryos are sort of graded by quality in some way in terms of likelihood to lead to a live birth. Those IVF clinics are shutting down on a temporary basis, we hope, because they are scared. Hey, could we go down for murder if we dispose of frozen embryos now that these are considered children? So he says that's a different issue. It's not. It is exactly the issue we are talking about.
I think the big thing is right now you go back to the situation and try to work it out to where it's best for everybody. I mean, that's what the whole abortion issue is about.
And of course, this has nothing to do with abortion, but that's another element of this for these loony right-wingers. They assume saying IVF frozen embryos are children somehow is like canceling or banning abortion. And we're not talking about anything like that at all, but he thinks we are.
So
this really isn't about abortion. It's about IVF and the concern that now families might not have access to it.
But it's about the same direction, but I agree. But people need to have access. People need to have, we need more kids. We need the people to have the opportunity to have kids.
IVF is not a Democrat or Republican issue. Families across the board use it. What is your message to the Supreme Court if this does in fact stop families from being able to use IVF?
Well, we don't need that.
Then it would be bad. He supports it. Remember, a minute ago, he said, I support this completely. What if it leads to the kind of obvious thing we think it might? Oh, no, then we got to stop it. Then it's bad. Very, very bad.
You know, I'm understanding with that. We need people to have an opportunity to have kids. Okay, that's my whole. Sure I do. I understand that. I mean, that's not my decision.
But do you agree with that decision?
No, they should be able to. Yeah, should be. Sure they should.
Do you agree with the Supreme Court decision or not?
I'd have to look at what they're agreeing to and not agreeing to.
So there so at the beginning, this guy's just a moron. At the beginning, he says, I strongly support this decision. I'm completely for this decision. In the middle, he says, oh, well, we got to keep IVF going. We got to keep it going. So do you support the decision or not? I'd have to read the decision. I actually don't. What are they agreeing to? What are they not agreeing to here? At some point here, interjecting the question, Senator, you have no idea what you're talking about, do you? Would have been a really great thing. And what we've really learned from this is a lot of people don't know what IVF is. And having had many friends who went through it and understanding between insurance and existing state laws in different scenarios, I have friends who have gone through IVF in different parts of the country. This is already both difficult enough physically, financially, depending on whether you live in a state where it's covered by insurance, not every state covers it, and psychologically, that the last thing we need are more government restrictions and limitations and this sort of thing. And remember, they claim to want to keep the government out of this stuff, but they are very much putting the government in it. By the way, support for IVF, last I saw, the polling I saw, I believe it's from December, so it's like 3 months old, 85% of the country supports IVF and related procedures just being legal flat out. And why wouldn't they? So Tommy Tuberville showing us what is the case for many of these Republicans. They don't know what is going on. I often struggle to find a good pair of socks that fits right and is comfortable. Our sponsor Strideline have developed the most comfortable socks on earth. They have it trademarked, and it's true, they really are that comfortable. I love my Strideline socks. Strideline has spent years developing extraordinarily comfortable, functional socks that you just have to try to understand. Every Strideline sock gives you zoned cushioning, direct compression with a contour fit, and hydrophobic moisture wicking to prevent the rubbing and the smells. Strideline is also officially a partner of the NFL, MLB, NCAA, and Major League Soccer. So Strideline is where you can go to keep your feet warm on game day. I picked up these awesome New England Patriots socks, even though the Patriots are... Okay, anyway. I also love Strideline because they offer socks made from recycled plastic bottles that come out of the ocean so you can make your feet and the earth more comfortable. And Strideline supports what we do at the David Pakman Show, another great reason to support them. Enhance your comfort with an exclusive 15% discount using the code DAVID at strideline.com. The link is down below.